Hello, hello, his nibs here. I thought a good place as any to start would be at the Tashkent television tower, just a short ride away on the metro from Amir Timur Square. My pronunciation, by the way, of all these names of places you will be hearing, is not going to be perfect, but I would try my best. Shavistan, at about 10 minutes walk, is probably the closest metro station to Tashkent television tower, but there is not a lot in it between the two. Budum's station, I thought, though, had more of a wow factor. No, no, yes, yeah. When you enter the tower walkway inside is also interesting, showing model examples of similar television towers around the world. This something out of a 1980s cabinet display, I'm sure, would have had one or two of the same radio cassette players I had as a teenager, when every Sunday evening while in the bath, I remember, I would record the Radio 1 UK Top 20 pop charts. Just before the elevator lift in the tower gift shop, packed to the ceiling with Uzbek souvenirs, I noticed again the same, well, not actually the same, cheerful looking old men in colourful ceramics that I had seen for sale in Serga Street, and a much taller version standing in the lobby of the Hotel Uzbekistan. What I thought was a secret spy camera, maybe, or hidden apparatus once used to send cryptic coded messages to Moscow during the Cold War. These brightly painted figures of Grandpa in traditional costume, usually holding offerings of fruit or cake and tea, with the authentic original similar but never the same, handmade by skilled local artisans. This much loved real brand souvenir of Uzbekistan represents the wisdom and respect for elders in all Uzbek culture. Looking to the north-east away from Tashkent, the view from the public viewing gallery is, I'll be quite honest, a bit boring. And this view, devoid of any high buildings of note, represents most of the area of the city even today, which, due to that devastating earthquake in the 1960s, when Tashkent was practically rebuilt again from scratch, has, I'm sure, had a big impact on the nation's psyche. But this is changing big time, with mega money now being invested in Uzbekistan and so much construction now is going on. And sadly, with the new big boy international hotel brands now appearing on the Tashkent skyline, with just as good views, I should imagine, for those hotel guests merely going up for their breakfasts in the morning. Sadly, the bar and restaurant on the 17th floor of the good old Hotel Uzbekistan, with a feeling to it now of being stuck in time, I'm sure no longer has the same wow factor. I mentioned the earthquake and the nation's psyche. What was on my immediate mind from the television tower's 97 metres or 318 feet observation gallery was something encouraging I'd found online, and I'm glad to share it with you here. Looking sort of south, the view of Tashkent skyline completely changes, unravelling quite a modern looking city. The places I have marked is just to give you an idea where the different areas of town are. For me, though, the highlight though was having dinner even higher up in the tower's revolving restaurant. And I must say, seeing Tashkent all below lit up at night is quite impressive. For such a tourist trap, where it is practically impossible to get a table during sunset, and where there is probably a 10-year waiting list for Valentine's Day, as we say in England, the food actually is not bad. Not at all expensive, be it a little bit more pricey than some of the other restaurants we visited, and the service is, well, okay. And just for the atmosphere alone, I will return, and for that reason, K-Not, meaning space, as in the universe, is one of the several restaurants in town we recommend. Stops back down the Green Metro line from Budomzor station is Yunus Rejabi, one of two metro stations that are linked together, and they are the closest ones to Amir Timur Square. Amir Timur Avenue station on the Red Line to you and I. When travelling on the Tashkent metro, depending on what map or diagram you happen to be looking at, you might notice slight differences in the spelling of the names of some stations. This has been going on now for many years, with one particular station with no prior announcement having its name changed overnight, and to say it merely left some commuters confused that day would be a bit of an understatement. Despite much newer hotels popping up close by, the very Soviet-style Hotel Uzbekistan, which for years was the only hotel in the city large enough to accommodate large tour groups, still dominates the square, which is in fact made up of not just concrete, but much more in the way of lovely kept gardens, one of many in the city, with pleasant, relaxing fountains to pause next to. Summers in Central Asia can be stifling hot, as we experienced in July and August, with temperatures at the hottest times of the day peaking at around 35 degrees Celsius or 95 Fahrenheit. Your hotel must therefore have air conditioning. And if it's an older property, the first thing you must do before you even unpack is to test the thing for 5 to 10 minutes. Indeed, in the heat of the night. Up to 1991, as you probably know, when the Republic of Uzbekistan declared independence, Tashkent was very much part of the Soviet Union, with some of the amazing architecture we see today built after that horrible earthquake in 1966. Prior to independence, the Amir Timur Square we see today, with that fine statue of a man sitting on what looks to be a real full-size horse, had instead a monument of Karl Marx in what was then called the Revolution Park Garden, and likewise the not too far away Mustaqilik Maidani or Independence Square used to be called Lenin Square, with a tall statue of Lenin as its main centrepiece. Yet many remnants of the old Soviet Union still remain, not just on the Tashkent metro, but all around town, including the arts and some very atmospheric indeed Russian restaurants we liked. Regarding visiting Tashkent museums, etc., do bear in mind most will be closed on Mondays, which of course in Uzbekistan is a public holiday. And to add one more, it is still common for some banks, businesses and government departments to close for 1 hour a day for lunch. Just like those radio cassette players in the television tower, and even the very dated looking ticket office, Tashkent, in a very nice way, still has in parts for me that 1980s feel. And 20 Embassy Regal and a box of matches, please. Indeed, within 10 minutes walk or so from any of these hotels close to the square, you will find many good cafes, restaurants and bars, some which are open 24/7 or nearest to it. And for any newbie in town, a good place to start or head towards would be Sailgas Street, aka otherwise known as Broadway Alley, or Mabu Chachula Street. Trust me, in Tashkent you will not go hungry. Walking slightly further afield will bring you to Musta Kilik metro station, and above its stunning white marble and hanging chandeliers is Independence Square. Around this area you will see some buildings of a different kind. State Museum of the History of Uzbekistan building. A striking textbook example, if you don't mind me saying, of brutalist Soviet-style architecture. Also here is the old-school Lart City Hotel Tashkent Palace, not to be confused with the City Palace Hotel, hence the long name. And both these hotels, by the way, are included in the hotels we will be recommending. Also nearby, and wow is all I can say to describe, the wonderful Alicia Naviol Theatre. Crossing Islam Karimov and still heading south in the general direction of Kazmon Avla metro station, walking through this one of Tashkent's many lovely parks, which in places has small fragments of Sailgas Street, including old-style Russian magazine and bookstalls. The icing on top of the cake is, though, we're seeing for the first time this so very impressive metro station. Not forgetting as well the renowned astronomer and mathematician Mirza Ulugh Beg. The whole theme of this station depicts space travel and exploration, honouring the Soviet cosmonauts of the time. Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space, but did you know the first woman in space was also Russian? Very brave people, I should imagine, at the time. The station's black and blue colour scheme, by the way, depicts the Earth's atmosphere. Heading south, 2 stops away from Amir Timur Square, with one change of line, is Tashkent metro station, good for the main railway station, a short walk away. Those of us from the Western world expecting the usual seediness of most cities' railway stations of drunkards, dodgy looking people standing around dirty, menacing littered streets late at night, will in Tashkent be disappointed. From here, the high-speed trains would take you to Samarkand in just over 2 hours. If you are not travelling though, you cannot just stick your head inside the station to have a look without good reason to be there, and security is very tight. If you are interested in Uzbekistan's railway system, the Railway Museum is just a short walk away. From this train station running north parallel to Amir Timur Avenue is Tarashov Shanko Street, which we stumbled upon by accident and is one of my favourite streets in Tashkent due to its sidewalk, cafe facade European feeling. In and around the street are many cafes and restaurants open late at night, a few bars, nightclubs, and an Irish pub. Due to its very good location, you might want to consider the very stylish Uzbek style Hotel Manor as one of your places to stay. 3 stops away from Amiatuma Square in the other direction, which would be heading west this time with one change of line. Gaffer Gulam is probably the closest metro station, but there is still about a mile walk to the wonderfully impressive Hazrati Iman complex, which, if on this occasion you are not travelling on to Bukhara or Samarkand, is definitely a must on your places to visit. Situated in the same neighbourhood as Hazrati Iman, of Tashkent's other bazaars around town, Churso is probably the most famous one. With the bazaars of Uzbekistan, it is not so much of what is inside the main buildings, but what is around them too, trading everything under the sun, including some of the best places to try proper authentic Uzbek cuisine, notably the local plov pilaf rice dish with meat. On one floor above, in Churso's Bazaar's main building, I have never in all my life seen such a huge selection of nuts and dried fruits. Mountains of the stuff, in fact, and what looks a bit like some frozen vegetables here includes all the varieties of dried melon you can think of. Another first for me. Most Uzbeks, especially the older generation, use bazaars on a daily basis like we use supermarkets. The other bazaars that we visited, including Ali Bazaar just up the road from the Wyndham Hotel and Mirabad Bazaar down towards the train station, were all very well organised into different food sections, including freshly baked bread and every exotic fruit and vegetable in the world you can think of. Just 2 stops down the line from Churso metro station are the equally impressive, linked to one another, Alicia, Naviri and Pakator metro stations. And one more stop will take you to Uzbekistan, handy for Tashkent City Park and the Hilton Hotel, etc. Alicia Naviri, though, is the one most convenient for a much different shopping experience at the ultra-modern Tashkent City Mall. Covering 4 floors with all the usual well-known fast food outlets, together with a couple of very nice restaurants, this is one of Tashkent's more upmarket shopping malls. But the main reason that I am mentioning it is that here and in the immediate surroundings you could easily be in any modern city in the world, and some of it is very impressive, like the park in front of it, again immaculately kept with a large lake and jumping fountain displays, and at the other end of Tashkent City Park, near to Holikwa Dasliji metro station, is a hidden corner just off Ukchi Street of several fine restaurants close to another large fountain named after a well-known Italian city. The final 2 places on our list do indeed carry on with this theme of jumping fountain displays. Covering around 21 hectares with a fairy tale castle and large fountain lake as its main centrepiece, Magic City Theme Park, which is free to enter, is of course very popular with families with young children. Full of many touristy things in the way of cafes and entertainment, I believe including live shows, a laser cinema and a good aquarium, allegedly. The closest metro station is probably Millibog on the Red Line, and about 1.5 kilometres down the road from Magic City, Seoul Chessy, which also has a small shopping centre with many cafes and restaurants overlooking the water, I think needs no further introduction. I did say that you will never go hungry in Tashkent. Oh, tea is served.